I'm Lisa Gray, Executive Director with the Simsbury Chamber of Commerce. And I'm here today with our featured member for the month of April, Elizabeth Greenberg. Elizabeth is the co-owner of Nonsense Flowers. How are you today, Elizabeth?
Doing very well, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. We're really excited to be here and get a chance to share our story.
Great. Well, I'm very excited to talk with you about your product. What is your product exactly? Tell me about Nonsense Flowers.
Yeah, so as you can see, they are all paper flowers or origami. And we make various things. We make baskets, roses, full bouquets, corsages, really anything. I mean, the fun thing about working with a paper product is that it lasts forever and you can do whatever you want with it. So it's really whatever our customers want to make it, we try and make that happen.
Well, they really are very beautiful. And I understand you have a very interesting story behind the start of your company.
Yeah.
Tell us that story. How did that happen?
Yes, I was finishing up my freshman year of college at Elon University, and a friend of mine was supposed to meet me in New York and sent me a text message saying that he couldn't make it because the doctors had found something in his thyroid and he had to go in for immediate cancer surgery down in New Jersey. So I called the hospital. I only knew him from college, so I didn't know his family. And I had to call the hospital to see where I should send flowers because that's what you usually do when you have someone going through that kind of trauma.
Right.
And they picked up the phone and the nurse said, you actually can't send live flowers to ICU, transplant, or where he was, which was the oncology unit. And she said, I'm really sorry, but we can't help you. Nothing goes in there. Just because of the risk with allergens and also bacteria from the water, which is something I hadn't thought of before.
Right.
So I went home, I went on YouTube, and for some reason, origami flowers was what I came up with. And inside each flower, there is a message, which kind of stemmed from me wanting to entertain him, because if you think of a hospital room, it's austere, it's not really a warm and homey feeling. So when you wake up from cancer surgery, I wanted to make sure there was at least something there that said, you know, hey, I'm thinking of you, all your friends are thinking of you, we're there with you, even if we couldn't be there. So my mom and I got in the car and drove down to Hackensack, New Jersey, and hand delivered it. And at first the nurses said, no, you can't bring flowers into here. It's too dangerous. There are people with immune system that are compromised, and they said no. And I said, don't worry, it's just paper. There's nothing to it. It's just paper. And they were excited about it, and other people were excited about it. And my mom looked at me and she goes, you know, I said I would pay for you to go to college, but that doesn't mean that I have to wait for the return on my investment. So that's kind of how it started. And I was studying entrepreneurship, so it just fit right in. And then Nonsense happened.
So an idea was born right there.
Yes, it was.
Well, that's a great story. And as you said, giving live flowers as a gift is something that we've done for generations. So why do you feel like now there's really a need for an alternative to that? Yeah,
so when I talked to that nurse, I was just completely just shocked, because live flowers do so much for us, not just to make a room look pretty or colorful, but they do a lot to our psyche and to help our moods emotionally, to help our brains, just the different things that they can do. And I thought, you know, man, it's a shame that people can't receive live flowers, because there's just so many positive things that they can give to us. And after talking to people who had been through cancer, my mom had gone through cancer treatment, and I remember someone had sent lilies and she had to send them away because the chemo affects not only the things that we can see, like hair loss or weight loss, but it also affects, you know, your other senses, so taste, smell, and a lot of different things that you wouldn't know about. So flowers are just, they're such a positive addition to our lives that I thought no one, whether it's allergies, whether it's past treatments, or whatever it may be, no one should have to be without them.
And they do last much longer than live arrangements, I'm sure.
They do, and I can personally appreciate that because I do not have a green thumb. As ironic as that is, I do not have a green thumb.
I know these days a lot of people are very environmentally conscious too. Are there any advantages to purchasing paper origami flowers as opposed to a live flower arrangement?
Well, this is something that I actually ran into after starting Nonsense, and I hadn't really realized it or thought about it beforehand, but it was a question I asked myself and did a little research and looking into it, and I was shocked to see that most of the flowers that we have for different holidays that we buy here are actually from different areas in Europe, in Africa, in South America as well. And they're freeze-dried and shipped from those areas to the U.S. and then stored, as we all know, in a refrigerator. And really, once I looked into it, it made sense. You know, it made sense that there would be a carbon footprint there. But American scientists came out with an article a few years ago saying that they estimated the carbon footprint for Valentine's Day roses alone was about 9,000 metric tons of carbon dioxide emissions.
That's staggering.
To get the roses. So, I mean, like I said, I love live flowers, and there are growers that are increasingly trying to keep it local and keep it close to home to minimize that carbon footprint and that environmental impact. But we source all of our materials from the U.S. We buy our vases from a company out of Atlanta. And for a lot of the flowers, we actually go through Etsy sometimes to get some extra help and some materials for that.
So let's take a look at some of the arrangements that you brought today.
Yeah, so these are actually some of our these are our newest roses right here, and tell you a little secret, they're actually made out of coffee filters.
Oh yeah, I can see that now.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great.
So this arrangement features, aside from the roses, are standard flowers. So it's really, our arrangements are really, I mean, they're beautiful to look at, but they're a lot more about what they say and what the sender wants to say to the recipient. So, for instance, this rose here, as you can see, this is actually a little message, and it comes right out, and you can unroll it, and you have a quote inside. It's either a quote or a personal message. So this one says, "When it rains, look for rainbows. When it's dark, look for stars."
Oh.
So
that's certainly inspirational for somebody who's going through a hard time.
It is, yeah. And they're completely customizable. We don't charge any extra for it or anything like that. But people have really, really enjoyed being able to kind of send their personal thoughts, and it's something that we don't do a lot these days with texting and with all these different kinds of apps and emails. It's very rare that you'll find something written on paper, however traditionalist it may be, but it just means something a little bit more to people. And I'll tell you a funny story. The reason why the messages are scrolled like this and put in the stems is because a 7-year-old girl got a princess arrangement for her birthday, and she refused to unfold the flower to get her message because she said it was too pretty. She didn't want to destroy it. So we learn from everyone in true startup fashion how to kind of make our product fit for everyone.
Perfect. And so when someone places an order with you, they can let you know what the message would like to be?
Yep.
Do you also have standard messages they can choose from, or they can personalize it?
Yep. So we have a whole page of ideas for messages to write. Most of the time, though, people like to write their own. And we do event centerpieces and corsages and things like that as well. So people really get creative with those.
Nice, yeah. So a lot more than the arrangement in a basket like this. So
exactly.
That's nice. And do you make them yourself?
They are all made in-house, yes. However, I am not allowed to go near them. I had the idea, but I don't have the artistic ability, unfortunately. So that's my mom. That is her expertise in her field, and I don't get in her way.
That's great.
She is the creative mind behind us now.
That's great to hear. And how does the cost compare to a live floral arrangement?
Yep, so excellent question. Our website ranges from our smaller arrangements, which are around $12 to $15, and our most expensive, which is a full rose bouquet, ranges from $50 to $60. So that's the max you're going to spend on our site. Usually, depending on what you buy with live flowers, you can get the flowers for somewhere between $20 and $30, but they go up to 100, 200 plus for those kinds of arrangements.
Right.
So that was another thing we were conscious of, especially since I started this in college, and you really know budgeting when you're a college student.
Right. So it sounds like it's a very, very affordable alternative, which is great. So you said before that you started the company when you were a freshman in college, just 18 years old. And you incorporated the business shortly after your 19th birthday. So what was it like at such a young age to be a college student and a business owner at the same time?
It was frightening and exciting, everything you would think it would be. I had just taken a course in Argentina, working with a startup there, and I came back with that course, applied for my entrepreneurship major. I was gung-ho about it. I was excited, and then I thought, I don't think I'm ever going to be that person with the idea. You look at Steve Jobs and you look at, all these different inventors and creators and Mark Zuckerberg, and you said, I'm not going to have that idea. Those are one in a million ideas.
Right.
And then nonsense happened. And I went to my favorite professor's office and I sat down with him and I said, Professor Palin, what do I do? I have this idea. And I think that's the biggest question that college students have when they start a business is, what do I do next? I have the idea. So it was definitely a kind of, what do I do, having only taken 2 business classes in my life. And I was very fortunate. I think it's an excellent thing to start when you're in school because you have your professors, you have mentors, you have older students, you have resources that you wouldn't have otherwise that you can lean on. So that was really beneficial for me, and I think it wouldn't turn out the same way if I hadn't had that.
So, and on top of all that, you were a female entrepreneur, which, let's face it, even in 2015, definitely has its challenges. I'm sure you found that. So, do you have any advice for other young women who may be in a similar situation, or maybe they're looking at launching their own businesses and they're just not sure?
Yeah, I think it's gotten a lot better. And, wherever you go, business schools, corporations, you're going to have more males than females, and it's going to be a little bit harder to get where you want to go, and you just have to wait for trends to change, and it's changing in a good way. But you have more people speaking out. There was the lawsuit over in Silicon Valley in California about gender bias in venture capital, and an article came out saying that I think only 2.7% of venture-backed companies have a female as the CEO. So there are those obstacles and barriers to face, but I don't think that should get to anyone. Any girl, woman that's thinking of starting a business, I think it's an excellent idea, and I love it. It might be harder, but I know that everything that I do and every ounce of respect that I have 100% earned. And not to say if I were a man, I wouldn't have earned it, but it's that much more rewarding. And I think, yes, that gender bias exists. And I think it's something that we should be aware of, but I don't think it's something that we should
hold
say.
You back.
No, absolutely not. It's out there, but lots of things are out
Overcome
there.
It.
Yeah, and you can't not do something because of fear. I think in an educated way, maybe you're afraid to skydive, so maybe you wait or you do it with a professional. But I definitely think that though it'll be a long road, it's an excellent road to go down, and I encourage anyone to really try, to at least try.
Yeah, definitely. Very good advice. And so you mentioned earlier that your mom, Mimi Greenberg, otherwise known as the Origami Mommy,
Yep.
helps you with your designs. I love that name, by the way.
Thank you.
And in fact, she's also your business partner.
Yes.
So what has that been like for the two of you, and how do you split the responsibilities of running the company?
So originally it started out this way because she said I was absolutely in no way allowed to drop out of college to do this. So she said to make up for that requirement, she would help me out while I was still in school. And then after I graduated, I would just take it from there and run. And then she fell in love with her job. So I graduated and got accepted into the first accelerator we've been in. And it's been interesting, you know. You're all very comfortable with your mom, and your mom is obviously very comfortable with you. So our conversations, I know I'll have conversations and I'll get off the phone and someone else in the office will say, "Were you just talking to a supplier?" No, I was talking to my mom. And they know our conversations now, and it's funny, but there's no one else you can rely on better than your mom, and vice versa. And I know that a lot of people say stay away from family businesses, but I think it's a little bit different when you're working with your mom, because they always say, and you know, you read Forbes, you read Entrepreneur Magazine, Inc. Magazine, anyone you talk to will say you want to work with people who want to see the business succeed as much as you do. Right. And there's no one else in the world.
Nobody wants you to succeed more than mom.
No.
That's right.
So,
no one wants to support you more than mom. That's
exactly.
right. That's right.
Exactly. So it's been phenomenal, and she raised me on her own, and so I watched her kind of grow as I grew up, and saw what she had to deal with and what she had to do and how hard she had to work. And you know, she never complained. She loves it, and she really is someone to look up to. What she's been through, you know, she survived cancer. She survived being a single mom. She survived being my mom. I know I couldn't have been easy all the time. But it's really great not only working with someone that you know you can trust fully and you respect, but also someone that you truly admire.
I can see you're getting very emotional talking about mom, and it's clear you have a very close relationship, and I know your mom, and I know she's very, very proud of you, and I'm sure you know that.
Yep.
You're doing a great job, kid. So I understand that you have modeled Nonsense Flowers as what's called a social business. What is a social enterprise, and why was it important for you to operate your business in that fashion? Yeah,
so recently a bill was passed to recognize benefit corporations in Connecticut, something that I know a couple people have been working really hard to make happen recently. So it's been, say, a buzzword around here for a little while. But it's the idea that business, when you think about it, you usually think, all right, a business model, you have a product or service, and it makes money, and it benefits your bottom line. Or if you think about it from a public corporation, it benefits shareholder wealth. You add value to your shareholders. So the idea behind the social business or the social enterprise is that you have another person factored into your business model, and that is whatever social cause or goodness that you're doing.
Okay.
So when you do all of your business activities, you not only consider, you know, increasing shareholder value, but you also consider, all right, is this going to, you know, help my cause? Is this also going to benefit whatever cause or good thing that you're doing? So for me personally, it was Tom's shoes that got me onto this train, and the whole idea that you could, you know, sell shoes, and I love shoes, that you could sell shoes, but also give a pair to someone in need. And there are a lot of things that you have to, you know, look into when you're doing something like that, and really be certain of the good that you're doing. But you know, it made sense to me. It made sense, you know, why do we have to have these huge corporations that donate money every year to these charities when you could have these corporations who are always going to do something good, who have it as part of their model and part of kind of the heart of their company. And that got me interested in it. And when I started Nonsense, I said, I don't want this just to be for me. I don't want this just to benefit me financially. I want this to help people and to give back to the community and really support each other. Because I believe, we're all in it together.
Right.
We're all, working towards the same kinds of things. And we just have to help each other out. So we made Nonsense as part of the business model that we would give back every year to our give back partners, which are nonprofits, and not only give back financially, but also support them throughout the year. So Connecticut Children's has been one of our give back partners for the longest. They have been our first. And we do workshops with the kids there. They build their own origami arrangements.
Oh, nice.
They write messages to their moms for Mother's Day, and they do different things for Christmas and Halloween. And we do the same types of things in the other organizations, because it's really, you don't just give money. That's not helping a social cause fully. And it's about connecting. It's about, being there and really giving something of yourself. So that's what we're working towards and working to do with Nonsense.
That's great. I like the sound of that. Yeah, and I hope other companies will follow suit and do the same thing.
I do too.
Yeah,
I push for it every
That'd
day.
be nice to see. That would be nice to see. Well, thank you very much, Elizabeth. Is there anything else that you'd like to add today?
Not that I can think of, but we did bring a rose that we think matches pretty well with what you're wearing for you to keep with you.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And have to kind of brighten your days. And
yes, thank you. It's very special.
You're welcome.
Now, what is this made out of?
That's made out of paper.
It's
all paper.
Just a colored paper like you'd get at Staples or something? Yeah, that's great. Beautiful. Well, thank you very much again.
Thank you.
My name is Lisa Gray, Executive Director with the Simsbury Chamber of Commerce, and I've been talking with Elizabeth Greenberg, co-owner of Nonsense Flowers. Thank you for joining us today. Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.